Now, you can take command of Megaforce.
Enemy sighted!
Thorhammer in position!
Steady!
Tanks down!
Fire at will!
Bombs away!
Strato Fortress! Release fighter jet!
Backlash bomber closing! Lock on target! Fire one!
Megaforce. Entire armies at your command. Strato Fortress and other vehicles sold separately. You have to put them together. From Kent. Megaforce.
Welcome back to another Plasticon review. Today we're going to cover some more Megaforce Rocks vehicles. Starting out with the Scorpion. This thing is the weirdest tank thing I've ever seen. I think this is probably one of the most unique tank designs I've ever seen that has ever come out in really any toy line. I don't even remember G.I. Joe having anything as crazy as this thing, but this vehicle is basically a large tank transport. It's got a very large cannon here on top that can do 360 degrees, which is really cool. It's even got a couple cannons here on the front that can maneuver up and down. You can actually shoot all the way down a canyon if you actually had this thing parked on the edge of it. It's really cool how those two cannons stick out. And the funny thing is, one cannon is actually longer than the other. That is really weird. I don't know why it does that, but it does. It's got these two smaller ramp portion here on the back, so that way you can actually take smaller Megaforce vehicles and park them here on the back. It does have a little bitty notch here that sticks up, so it can actually successfully hold these, so if you're rolling this around you don't have to worry about the little tanks falling off, which is really cool. I do like the idea that it's able to carry those guys on the back. Detail, this thing is full of detail. It's completely loaded down with detail. It's just so many different little pistons and areas where, you know, heat could extract, like radiators and such. It's got a lot of cool diamond plating going on here, not to mention stickers galore. This thing is loaded down with stickers. One of these happens to be rolling up on me a little bit here, but it's got the little rocks emblems right there on the side. Not to mention some more cautionary stuff. It's like a slash number 5 here on the back. A lot of molded detail in the treads. Not to mention the entire geared mechanism thing here on the side, which look like little treads. Well, we'll get into that in a few minutes. A lot of engine bay detail going on here for the top portion here. Not to mention the entire cockpit area here has actually got a lot of little yellow windows here picked out. Not to mention the ones picked out here in this centerpiece. Now this actually does have ability if you really wanted to. You can also park a little Megaforce vehicle kind of up here a little bit. It's a little more successful for the little tanks, not the large. I guess you want to call these kind of a anti-aircraft tank type of thing. You can shoot over cliffs and stuff. It's kind of cool. It's really neat. I do like this design. Got a lot of molded detail here, even on the front of it. Now the gimmick this thing has, it's actually got two really interesting gimmicks. The first gimmick it's got is you push down on this top part here and it fires off a vehicle. This little secondary vehicle looks like a little caterpillar kind of thing. It's actually got several little guns molded here onto the top. Not to mention this camo, this little tiger stripe desert camo look. And then several little bitty parts here sticking up, which are supposed to be a Macross like missile type of thing. This here would actually fire off missiles all over the place. This pretty much what this is a ground support vehicle. Tons of detail in the entire front of it, not to mention the little turbines. Even has a couple more guns here on the back. No, a lot of detail underneath it, considering this is supposed to slide into the front of the Scorpion, just like so. And when you push it in, it will lock. And you saw how fast that thing fired out. It's got some force behind it. So I do like the idea that this works so well. Even after all these years, this thing still fires really, really well. The secondary gimmick this guy's got is you can hold it here and lift the entire vehicle up and push it down like this, and you got pretty much a secondary mode. The secondary mode is supposed to be more or less for a barrage if you're going to try to fire more off into the air over something. It also allows them to have kind of like a base if they wanted to be able to park tanks just all over it. It allows the ramp on the back actually to be further accessed in an easier way when you just put your little tanks on the back. And it's just neat. I love this idea. This is really, really cool. It gives you kind of like an alternate base for these guys. So you can just have this thing just kind of chilling over there and have a bunch of barricades and such around it, and then you got all these other vehicles just driving around it, just protecting it, and this here being used as central base. You can put this larger support vehicle can actually kind of park right there, which makes sense, and actually kind of weighs it down a little bit too, and kind of keeps things in place. These really won't do a lot of moving up and down when it's in this mode. Just pretty much that's pretty much your range right there. It doesn't really go anywhere else. But it is cool that this thing folds out like this. I like these toys that have alternate modes and just really makes it fun and interesting to play with. You can, if you want to, raise it up just partially part way at this height, and then be able to actually move these a little further up and down. But that's just something, it's not really in the instructions, especially when you purchase this. It primarily wants you to push this thing all the way down like this to be able to angle it up. As for anything to look out for, these right here happen to be two little bars that go into the body of the Scorpion. The main thing to look out for is these right here can sometimes get snapped off, and if they do, the entire gimmick will not work. It will still fire out the little vehicle, but it will not allow you to be able to do the raising gimmick without it completely separating from the bottom. The reason I'm saying this is because I happen to have two of these, and one of mine is broken. And where it broke was the two little bars right here that feed inside. It was primarily the attachment points. Now, when it comes to disassembly, I don't see any places on this that you can actually disassemble to fix that problem. I would assume this is possibly glued together, because there was a lot of toys back then that actually did just get glued together instead of just pegged. But I'm not absolutely sure. I haven't tried to pull one apart, so I wouldn't know that for a fact. But my overall thoughts is this thing is awesome. It's very cool. They're not really that difficult to find. They're quite frequently seen on eBay, especially even with this little support rocket vehicle, because this is primarily your lot when you get it, is these two. If you do happen to get the box, congratulations, you got a box to put these guys in. But that's pretty much it. You're not really going to get anything else with this set other than just these two together. Anyhow, this has been Plasticon. This has been another Megaforce review, and I'll see you guys around because I have plenty more coming at you. See you around. Bye!